Imagine this. 10 years from now, you wake up and realize you never have to work again. No alarm clock, no boss, no meetings. Just freedom, the kind of freedom where your money works harder than you ever did. But here's the thing. Most people think retiring in 10 years is only for the rich, for those who already have millions in the bank. That's the biggest lie society tells you. The truth is, if you understand how money actually grows, if you learn the simple math behind compounding and how to use it in your favor, you can compress decades of financial progress into a single decade. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how much you need to invest each month to retire in just 10 years. We'll use real numbers, real examples, and realistic returns, not the fantasy scenarios you see online. You'll learn how to calculate your personal freedom number, how to choose smart investments that multiply your money faster, and how to create a system that builds wealth automatically while you sleep. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just how much you need to invest, but how to make it possible. Even if you're starting from zero, even if your income isn't huge, even if the world around you says it can't be done. Because the truth is, financial freedom isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's reserved for those who decide they've waited long enough. So if you're ready to see what it really takes to buy back the next 30 years of your life, stay with me. This might be the most important 15 minutes you'll ever spend on your future. Let's be honest. When most people think about retirement, they imagine this distant goal, something that happens when you're old, gray, and too tired to enjoy it. Society has programmed us to believe that retiring means waiting 40 years, saving a bit each month, and hoping everything works out in the end. But that system was never designed to make you free. It was designed to keep you comfortable, just enough to survive, never enough to escape. The average person believes they'll need millions to retire, yet they have no idea what that number actually is. They follow generic advice: save 10% of your income, buy a house, invest in your pension. But here's the truth, those old rules are broken. Inflation eats away your savings, pensions are unreliable, and the market doesn't reward hesitation. The people who actually retire early, they play a different game. They start by understanding that retirement isn't about age, it's about assets that work for you. It's not about how long you've been working, it's about how efficiently your money multiplies. You could be 30 and financially free, or 65 and still trapped. The difference comes down to one thing: knowing the math behind freedom and acting on it every single month. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine two people, both 30 years old. One saves €300 a month in a savings account earning 1%. After 10 years, they've got around €37,000. The other person invests that same €300 in a simple index fund earning 8% per year. After 10 years, over €55,000. The same amount of effort, the same amount of money, completely different results.
Why?
Because one person understands how money grows, and the other doesn't. That's the difference between working for money and letting money work for you. And here's the kicker. Most people don't realize they're losing decades of potential wealth simply by doing nothing. Every year you wait to start investing, you're giving up thousands in compound growth. It's like planting a tree. The best time was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. So, before we go deeper into the formula, I want you to take a second and think about your own situation. How do you picture your retirement? Are you planning to work until you're 65, or do you want to build a plan that lets you live life on your own terms? Sooner? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to read your perspective, and I bet it'll inspire someone else watching this. Because this video isn't about dreaming of freedom, it's about engineering it. And once you understand how the system really works, you'll never look at money the same way again. Here's where things start getting real. Because retiring in 10 years isn't magic, it's math. The kind of math that anyone can understand and use, once they see how the pieces fit together. The truth is, your financial freedom has nothing to do with luck or timing. It comes down to a simple formula, and the sooner you internalize it, the faster you can bend time in your favor. The formula is this: freedom equals income, expenses, times return times time. That's it. Those four elements determine everything. How much you earn, how much you keep, how effectively you invest it, and how long you give it to grow. Let's break it down. Income. This is your fuel. The more you can earn, through your job, a business, or side hustles, the more you can invest. But income alone doesn't make you free. That's where expenses come in. If you double your income but triple your lifestyle, you've gone backward. The real winners are the ones who learn to grow their income without letting lifestyle inflation take over. Then comes return. This is the engine that makes your money multiply. The average savings account gives you maybe 1%. Inflation eats that alive. But if you can consistently earn 7 to 10% through smart, diversified investments, your money doubles roughly every 7 to 10 years. That's compound growth, the most powerful force in finance, and the reason some people retire decades earlier than others. Finally, time. Here's the paradox. We're talking about retiring in 10 years, yet time is still your ally. Because if you commit to investing every single month, no matter what the market does, you're creating a machine that grows stronger with each passing year. Let me give you a concrete example. Suppose you invest 1,000 euros per month for 10 years, earning 8% annually. By the end of that decade, you'd have around 183,000 euros. But that's not the impressive part. If you simply leave that amount untouched for another 10 years, even without adding a single euro, it grows to over 395,000 euros. You did nothing, and your money more than doubled. That's compound growth at work. So when people say, it's impossible to retire in 10 years, they're missing the point. It's not about working harder, it's about building a system that compounds your efforts. Every euro you invest becomes an employee that never sleeps, never complains, and works for you 24/7. If you want to take this seriously, start tracking these 4 variables. Write them down: income, expenses, return, and time. Ask yourself, which one can I improve this month? Maybe you can cut unnecessary costs, negotiate a raise, or learn how to invest with confidence instead of fear. Small moves compound, just like money does. And if this makes sense to you, if it's clicking right now, give this video a like. It helps more people discover this message, and honestly, it tells the algorithm this is the kind of content that deserves to reach others who are still stuck in the system. Because once you master the formula, you realize something powerful. You don't need 40 years to retire. You just need focus, discipline, and a decade of smart decisions. Most people wander through life without ever asking the most important financial question: how much do I actually need to be free? They save randomly, invest sporadically, and hope it'll be enough. But hope is not a plan. Freedom starts with a specific number, your freedom number, the exact amount of money you need invested so that you can live the life you want without ever worrying about income again. Let's make it concrete. Imagine your ideal lifestyle. How much would it cost each month to live comfortably, not extravagantly, but freely? Maybe it's 2,000 euros a month. Maybe it's 4,000 euros. Multiply that by 12 months, and you've got your annual freedom budget. Let's say it's 36,000 euros a year. Now, here's the key. If your investments can safely generate about 4% a year, a common rule known as the 4% rule, then you can calculate your freedom number by dividing your annual needs by 0.04. So in this case, 36,000 euros divided by 0.04 equals 900,000 euros. That's your freedom number. With 900,000 euros invested wisely, you could theoretically live off your returns forever. Sounds huge. It might at first. But here's the thing. You don't need to save 900,000 euros. You need to build it through compounding returns. That's the part people miss. Let's do the math. If you invest 2,500 euros per month at an average return of 10% a year, you'd hit roughly 940,000 euros in just 10 years. That's it, a decade of discipline, and you'd be done. If you can invest 1,500 euros per month, you'd need closer to 13 to 14 years, but you'd still be decades ahead of the normal retirement path. Now, some people hear these numbers and think, that's impossible for me. But here's where perspective changes everything. For most people, the real obstacle isn't money, it's clarity. They've never sat down and said, okay, my goal is 900,000 euros, and I'm giving myself 10 years to get there. Once you define that number, it becomes real. It's not a dream anymore, it's a plan. And remember, your freedom number is personal. Maybe you don't need 900,000 euros. Maybe you live in a lower cost area, or you plan to generate some side income doing what you love. That might cut your number in half. Or maybe you want full luxury. Your number might be higher. The point is, you can't hit a target you haven't defined. Here's a quick challenge for you. Grab a piece of paper and write down your monthly ideal lifestyle cost. Not survival mode, not extravagance, just freedom. Multiply by 12, divide by 0.04, and there you go. That's your number. Drop it in the comments if you're brave. I'd love to see what freedom looks like for you. And if writing it down gave you a sense of control you didn't have before, hit that like button. Because that feeling, that's the first step toward taking ownership of your financial life. From here, everything becomes easier. Once you know your freedom number, you can reverse engineer exactly how much to invest every month to hit it. And that's what we're going to do next. Turn that number into a clear, actionable plan. Now that you know your freedom number, it's time to answer the question everyone's been waiting for. How much do you actually need to invest every month to retire in 10 years? Let's break it down with real numbers. Suppose your freedom number is 900,000 euros. That's the amount you need invested to live off 36,000 euros a year using the 4% rule. Now, how do we get there? If you start from zero and invest consistently for 10 years, your monthly investment depends heavily on your average return. Let's look at 3 realistic scenarios. 5% annual return. You'd need to invest about 5,800 euros per month. 8% annual return. You'd need roughly 4,500 euros per month. 10% annual return. You'd need about 3,800 euros per month. At first glance, those numbers might seem intimidating. But here's where most people give up, and where the winners think differently. Because your path to financial freedom doesn't have to be linear. You can start smaller, increase your contributions as your income grows, and combine multiple streams of income to reach the goal faster. Let's say you can only invest 1,000 euros a month right now. At an 8% return, in 10 years, that grows to about 183,000 euros. That's not your full freedom number yet. But imagine this. What if you start a small online business or side hustle that brings in an extra 500 to 1,000 euros per month, and you invest all of it? That could shave years off your timeline. The key is consistency, not perfection. Think about it like this. Every euro you invest is a little worker you send out into the world. At first, you only have a few. But they start earning for you, and those earnings hire new workers. Before you know it, your money has built an army that doesn't sleep, doesn't complain, and never takes weekends off. And the earlier you start, the easier the math becomes. If you give yourself 15 years instead of 10, that same 900,000 euro target could be reached by investing just over 2,200 euros per month at an 8% return. Time is the most powerful multiplier you have. Use it wisely. Here's a mindset shift that changes everything. Stop thinking about how much you can save, and start thinking about how much cash flow you can generate to invest. Increasing your income by 500 euros a month is often easier than cutting 500 euros in expenses. Build, don't shrink. Expand, don't contract. So, if you've ever told yourself, I'll start investing when I earn more, stop. Start now, even with 100 euros. It's not the amount that matters, it's the habit. The habit builds discipline, and discipline builds wealth. In fact, let me know in the comments, what's a realistic amount you could start investing every month if you really committed? Write it down. Putting it into words is the first step toward making it real. And if this part is opening your eyes, if it's making you realize that retiring in 10 years might actually be possible, give this video a like so more people can discover what you just did. Because the truth is, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and underestimate what they can do in 10. 10 years of focus can completely rewrite your financial destiny. Now that you know how much you need to invest each month, the next big question is, where do you put that money so it actually grows? Because not all investments are created equal, and if you want to retire in 10 years, you can't afford to let your money sit somewhere earning 2% a year. Here's the truth. Wealth is built not just by investing, but by allocating intelligently. Your goal is to create a portfolio that grows consistently, protects you from big losses, and compounds year after year without you having to micromanage it. So let's break down a smart, balanced mix for someone who wants freedom in a decade. First, index funds and ETFs. These are your foundation. They track the overall market, like the S&P 500, and over time, they've historically returned around 7 to 10% annually. They're low cost, diversified, and perfect for long-term compounding. Think of them as the reliable engine of your wealth machine. Second, real assets like real estate or REITs. These can add stability and cash flow. You can buy rental properties or invest through platforms that let you own a piece of real estate without being a landlord. The goal here isn't just appreciation, it's to create income that keeps coming in, even if the market dips. Third, growth assets. These are slightly riskier but can accelerate your timeline, investing in specific companies you understand, or even building your own side business. A profitable side hustle can often outperform your investments and give you the cash flow to invest more. Fourth, cash or short-term reserves. It's not glamorous, but it's necessary. Always keep 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash or a high-yield savings account. That's your safety net, your sleep well at night money that keeps you from panicking when the market dips. Here's a simple framework to visualize it. 60% in diversified index funds and ETFs, 20% in real assets, 10% in growth opportunities, 10% in cash reserves. Of course, this isn't one size fits all. Your mix might lean more aggressive or conservative depending on your comfort level and experience. The key is balance. You want your portfolio to be strong enough to grow fast, but stable enough to survive market storms. Now, here's the mindset shift. Don't obsess over timing the market. Obsess over time in the market. Every minute your money is invested is another moment compounding in your favor. Missing even the 10 best days in the market over a decade can cut your returns almost in half. The people who win aren't the ones who predict, they're the ones who persist. And let me throw you a small challenge, a fun one. I want you to drop in the comments one investment you believe in for the next 10 years. It could be an index fund, real estate, a business idea, whatever you think will grow and endure. Why? Because when you write it down publicly, you're not just sharing an idea. You're planting a flag for your future self. And who knows? Maybe one day you'll come back to this video and comment, "That was the one that changed everything." If that thought excites you even a little, hit that like button. Not for the algorithm, but as a personal commitment. A tiny symbolic action that says, "I'm not just watching videos anymore. I'm building my freedom plan." Because investing isn't about chasing trends, it's about creating a system that quietly, relentlessly, and permanently sets you free. By now, you know the math, the mindset, and where to put your money. But what if I told you there's a way to make it all go faster? A way to compress the journey, not by luck, not by gambling, but by changing how you play the game entirely. The secret weapon. Increasing your gap, the space between what you earn and what you spend, and using that gap to invest aggressively and intelligently. Here's the truth most people ignore. Wealth isn't built by a higher salary. It's built by the difference between your income and your expenses, multiplied by time and consistency. The wider that gap becomes, the more fuel you have to pour into your freedom machine. So how do you widen it? 2 ways: cutting what doesn't matter and multiplying what does. Let's start with cutting. I'm not talking about skipping your morning coffee or never eating out again. I'm talking about removing the invisible leaks, the subscriptions you don't use, the impulsive purchases, the status-driven expenses that bring zero value to your future self. Every euro you reclaim is another euro that can start working for you. But cutting only gets you so far. The real acceleration happens when you multiply your income. You might not realize it, but we're living in the easiest time in history to create extra income. You can freelance, teach online, sell digital products, start a small brand, rent out a room, or offer services you already know how to do. Every extra 100 euros you earn and invest consistently doesn't just add up, it compounds. Let me give you a simple example. Say you earn an extra 500 euros per month from a side project and invest it at 8% annual return. After 10 years, that alone becomes about 91,000 euros. That's nearly 6 figures of pure freedom money from just one small side hustle. But there's another, often overlooked way to speed things up: reinvent your environment. Surround yourself with people who are building, not complaining. People who talk about opportunities, not excuses. Because motivation fades, but proximity rewires your habits. You start acting like the people around you. Here's a practical exercise. Look at your circle and your calendar. Who are you spending time with? What are you spending time on? Every hour you invest in learning a new skill or building a project compounds just like your money does. Knowledge compounds faster than capital. And if you're still thinking, "But I don't have time," remember this: you don't need more time. You need priority. You'll never find time for freedom. You have to make time for it. Now, let's make this moment real. Think of one specific skill or income stream you could develop over the next 90 days. Something that could add at least 200 to 500 euros per month to your income. Got it. Good. Here's what I want you to do. Pause for 2 seconds, scroll down, and write it in the comments. Not just for me, for yourself. Because public commitment is powerful. And if you just felt that spark of possibility, that little voice that says, "I can actually do this," hit that like button right now. Not as a gesture, but as a promise to your future self. Because once you learn to create income, control your spending, and invest the difference, you've unlocked the ultimate financial cheat code. At that point, the question isn't if you'll retire early, it's when. Everything we've talked about, the numbers, the strategy, the investments, means nothing without the right mindset. Because in the end, retiring in 10 years isn't a financial challenge. It's a mental one. The biggest obstacle between you and freedom isn't your salary, your background, or your circumstances. It's the belief that it's not possible for you. That's what keeps most people stuck in the loop of, "maybe one day." But here's the truth. The people who actually make it happen are not the smartest or the luckiest. They're the ones who decide that their freedom matters more than their comfort. They take consistent, boring, unglamorous actions, month after month, while everyone else chases distractions. Because here's what no one tells you. Getting rich slowly still feels fast when you realize how many people never start. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. You'll have months when the market crashes, when your side hustle stalls, when fear kicks in. That's normal. But those who stay in the game always win. Every market dip is a discount. Every failure is a lesson. Every boring investment is a seed quietly growing underground, waiting for its moment to bloom. If you commit to this journey, not for a week, not for a month, but for a decade, you'll look back and barely recognize yourself. 10 years of focus can buy you every year after that in freedom. And maybe right now that seems like a long time. But think about it. The next 10 years are coming whether you take action or not. The only question is, will you still be working for money then? Or will your money finally be working for you? Here's what I want you to take away from this entire video. Financial freedom isn't a miracle. It's a formula executed with discipline. Your freedom number isn't a dream, it's a destination. You don't need to be rich to start, you need to start to become rich. So, if this video lit a spark inside you, if it made you see retirement not as an age but as a choice, don't let that spark fade. Take one action today. Open your investment account. Cancel that useless expense. Learn one new skill that earns you more. Start something. Because the person who acts today will thank themselves 1,000 times in 10 years. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what's the first step you're going to take toward your 10-year freedom plan? I want to hear your commitment, and I'll be reading every single one. If you found value in this video, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Because this channel isn't about getting rich quick, it's about getting free for life. Your freedom clock starts now.